Now to more local coverage. Congressman David Cicilline joining us live in studio. Thanks for coming in again this morning.
My pleasure. Great to see you.
Always busy when you come back to Rhode Island. What's on your agenda the next couple of days?
Well, tonight we have a Veterans Forum and Dinner at the St. Joseph's Veterans Association Hall in Woonsocket. It's an opportunity to provide some information to veterans from the VA and from the Veterans Bureau here in the state. Also to have dinner, talk about some of the things happening in Washington, but really to give some good information to the men and women who've served our country. We just celebrated Memorial Day and should be conscious of all the sacrifices that have been made by our veterans and their families. And this is an opportunity to say thank you to them, but also to give them some important information.
Yeah, it's a big topic now, not only locally, but nationally with the VA hospitals and all the troops coming home from the war in Afghanistan and Iraq. So it's a very important issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's very important. Look, we have to be certain that when veterans return home, that they have everything that they need in terms of health care, mental health services, housing assistance, employment assistance. You know, we have a responsibility to make sure we do everything that we can to provide the services to our veterans that they so richly deserve. We live in the greatest country in the world and with the most freedom of any country in the world because of the sacrifices of our men and women in uniform. We should never forget that.
Vice President Biden in town last week talked about the infrastructure of Rhode Island. We all know around here that the roads and bridges are falling apart. It was good to have the Vice President coming in maybe to pound that message home a little bit.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, we've been working very hard as a delegation to increase the federal investment in infrastructure here in Rhode Island. We were successful this year in bringing more federal money. But this is a national problem. We have to rebuild our country. You know, we've spent hundreds of millions of dollars rebuilding places like Afghanistan and Iraq. Right. We need to do some nation building right here in America. And this is about, you know, not only putting people to work, the cement, construction folks, engineers, you know, all the jobs that are related to it. But it's also about our quality of life, about our ability to compete in this economy. You have to be able to move goods and services to compete in the 21st century. And we have a crumbling infrastructure, not only here in Rhode Island, but all across this country. And we need a national effort to really rebuild America.
And it's about safety too. Before we let you go, we were talking off camera before we came on about the presidential election. I want to real quickly get, what's it like in D.C.? Like, give us an idea of like the vibe there about, because it's a very contentious time right now in America.
It is. I think it's added to some of the contention. I think there's some real concern from my Republican colleagues about their nominee. We see recently a big fight because he's attacked a judge in his trial for having parents that were Mexican immigrants. I think there's a lot of concern on the Republican side. I think people are anxious for there to be a Democratic and Republican nominee so we can really contrast the two. But it's, I think, made the role of Congress even more important because whoever our president is, we need to be sure that we have a Congress that's working, getting things done, and working together on behalf of the American people.
It'll be up to you folks to control the chaos.
Exactly.
All right, thanks so much for coming in this morning. Always great to see you. And for more on any of the topics we discussed, go to our website, WPRI.com.